Welcome back to the channel, guys. Yes, I am excited to bring you guys along for another episode. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of maintenance on my Escalade. The good thing about this truck, the way that I maintain it, of course there's thousands of ways that you can do this, and my way might not necessarily work for you. I'm just showing you guys how I've maintained my vehicles. And in this series, I'm going to explain to you guys little maintenance tips and tricks that I picked up along the way. Obviously, you can see it's pretty filthy in here. I'm going to show you guys in another episode how I detail the engine bay. I'm also going to be cleaning the air filter, and I'm also going to be cleaning the mass airflow sensor. First thing that I always do, guys, is I always do this motor flush to the engines. A lot of people are going to say never to add this. I've always added it to my oil changes, and some people I can understand because, you know, they say that this detergent might end up, I don't know, they say that it might clean off some grease that's stuck to your the end seal or the crankshaft sealer, and it'll start leaking oil. I mean, to be honest with you, I've never had any issues with this. I've always do this to my vehicles whenever I do an oil change. And the reason for that is because newer oil or newer cars are designed to change the oil every like 5,000-6,000 miles. On my TrackHawk, it has about 9,500 miles, and I've only done one oil change on it. And that's the way new trucks are designed, or new vehicles are designed. The oil lasts that long, but you have to make sure you get a quality filter. As you can see, my engine has about 100, or the vehicle has over 100,000 miles, and I've never had any issues the way that I maintain it. I'll start it up for you guys so you can see how simple it starts. Never had any issues with this vehicle. It doesn't leak oil, never changed out any seals on it. This is pretty much everything that I'm going to be using to do the maintenance on the truck. Like I mentioned earlier, first I'm going to do this motor flush, and I run this for about 5 minutes. It says right there how much to use it for. You have to be careful on what type of cars you use it for. I'm not sure. I think you can't use it on turbo vehicles because I think this detergent is a little bit too strong and it might damage those seals. As far as my other vehicles, I've never had any issues. Even when I did the oil change on the Humvee, it had 21,000 miles. I did the motor flush, and because that oil has been sitting for I don't know how long, so it eliminates all those deposits that have just been sitting there, all the gunk, and it opens up the galleys and everything. I'm gonna be using this time. I normally use when I do oil changes, I normally use this one, the Pennzoil, but this time I'm gonna be using the Royal Purple just because of the detergents it has. I'm sorry. The Royal Purple oil has every oil has different detergents in it. Some have different oils to lubricate more, some have detergents to clean a little bit better, but I'll link a video that I saw how good this one cleaned up the engine, and this is why I'm going to be running this time the Royal Purple. I'm also going to be adding this friction modifier. It's called Arch Oil, and I saw this one. I've never tried it before. I'm gonna mention this real quick. I'm not sponsored by any of these companies. Like I said, I saw it in Jay Leno garage, and the company is called Arch Oil, and it's a nano lubricant technology. So it's basically just designed to help you make the oil a lot slicker and make it lubricate a lot better. So this is 16 ounces, and for the amount of oil that it takes, 6 quarts, I'm only going to use half of this. I've never tried it before. Let's see what happens. I also use half of this Marvel Mistral oil. I use about 1 quart into the oil because this does help lubricate the heads, the valves, the valve seals. So this does help out. I don't know how much, but I've always used it, and this is the way that I like it, and my vehicles have never had an issue. Like I mentioned, you have to have a really high quality filter. Don't cheap out whenever you do your oil change. It's kind of like, I guess the way that you could think about it is, if you know, if you eat a bunch of like unhealthy food, a lot of fats and stuff, your veins are gonna clog, cholesterol. The same with, you know, this is the way that I look at engines, right? The same thing, because you have to look at them as they create power. They're basically compressors, right? So the cleaner they are, the better you maintain them, the longer it's gonna last you. And I also am gonna be putting this detergent into the intake combustion, and I showed you guys how I did it on the TrackHawk. I'll also link that video in the description. And on this one, I'm gonna use 2. I also bought an extra 2 of these and I put them in the fuel, and I'm also gonna be topping off all my fluids. If you see these tires, they probably look real familiar. It's because I also installed the same Toyos on the Escalade, and I did install these through Sam's. I think I paid about $900 with the installation and tax and everything. But I am going to caution you guys to, whenever you guys get an opportunity, always buy road hazard. This particular spec on this Escalade, it's the Escalade Platinum, and it doesn't come with a spare tire. These are not run flats, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're not run flats, so you have to be very careful with these type of tires. I got the road hazard, or it was already included in there, but look at this. The tires are brand new. If you see you can still see the little where the injection, the plastic mold injection goes through. But this, they can't fix this anymore, and you run the risk, if they are able to fix it, some shop, I don't know, mom and pop shop, you run the risk of, you know, it could tear and you could cause an accident. But it has the road hazard, so they already ordered a brand new tire for it. I'm gonna get another brand new tire. The detergent already ran through for about 5 minutes. I'm already gonna start jacking it up so I can start draining the oil. But look at how dirty, how filthy the filter looks. Man, that thing looks dirty. So I'm gonna take that off. I'm gonna clean it while it's draining, so this thing dries naturally. Good thing is, in one of the other episodes, I had taken off the coolant reservoir for the Humvee, and I bought this brush to try to clean it. Didn't fit, but good thing, because it's very, very soft, and I could use it to agitate the cotton gauze that it has. I got my filter all nice and clean. So I let it air dry. Now it's pretty much all dry. I'm about to install the oil filter, but before I do, I gotta make sure that it's clean down there, that the old O-ring is not stuck to there. And I'm also gonna add a little bit of oil in here, so that way it's just easier for the oil pressure. Alrighty, so I already added all my fluids. I put in about half of the gallon of the windshield wiper fluid. I put all of the oil. I put half of the Marvel Mystery oil. You can see there it's about 16, and I put half of the Arch oil, or I put about 8 ounces in there. I am going to clean up the mass airflow sensor and then put the oil on my Canon air filter, install that. Then I'm gonna run the 2 detergent cans through the entire system. I already sprayed my mass airflow sensor. I'm about to button everything back together. As you can see, it's right here. I already cleaned it up. Terminals look nice and clean. So basically, these are resistors, and they get like full of oil, and it doesn't, you know, pass the electricity that it's supposed to pass, and that's why it might be less efficient, or they might just totally get damaged. And then here's my K&N. You can see it with its new oil in there. Okay, so I'm gonna button this up, check the oil, make sure it gets oil pressure, check the oil, make sure I have enough in there, and then once that's done, I'm gonna go ahead and put the detergents. And whenever you do this type of intake manifold cleansing, you have to put it in a place where it has vacuum. So on this truck, I already know that this is the spot where I like to use it. As you can see, nothing's obstructing, and I have my detergent sitting right there. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn on the vehicle, and it's gonna start sucking the detergent in little by little, and it's gonna start burning or cleansing all the carbon deposits. It's also gonna clean the intake, exhaust manifolds, the piston, the combustion chamber, the oxygen sensors, and your catalytic converter. And on this one, it is gonna start throwing a lot of smoke. Your check engine light's gonna turn on, but don't be scared, and it might even rattle really crazy, but that's all part of the process. At the end, once you start driving it, the check engine light turns off and everything should go back to normal. I wanted to show you guys, look at the check engine lights freaking out. Probably doesn't even know what's going on. Check the levels, everything's good to go. Like I said earlier, I mean, this is just the way that I do it, and it's giving me results so far. I really like this, the method that I do. You know, roughly on parts I spend about, let's just say like a good $80, right? And I buy most of the stuff at Walmart because that's where it's cheaper. But this is nothing out of the world, guys. This maintenance, you gotta spend your money on it. If you don't do it, if you put cheap stuff in there, the engine's not gonna last you as long. But like always, guys, if you found this information informative, if you guys like this type of stuff, like I said, I'm gonna make a series of maintenance, I'm gonna make a series of detailing, and then of course the general stuff of the TrackHawk, the Humvee, and all that stuff. Again, guys, thank you guys, I appreciate it so much. Please like this, consider subscribing. Thank you guys, I'm out.